Am I close enough?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first thing that I just wanted to go over is you making sure that you're in the habit of building with good structure if people are backing away from you. So what's sometimes happening is you're on your back like this, right? Your partner will back away, and then you'll sit up with like open spaces, and you'll start to come forward. And this can be like a situation where people are going to fall into these openings. What I'd like to see you do is if they back away, make sure that you're building behind structure. So I have a point of contact on Emma where my elbow is in line with my hand, and both of these guys are in line with my chest. So if Emma presses me at this moment, I feel really powerful. If I misalign my chest like this, I'm going to feel like I get run over. So building behind a good wall is going to be the first thing, okay? The second thing, and this is like the same idea, is when you're playing positions like K-guard, you're squishing yourself like this almost from the get-go. So you have nowhere downwards to expand or to drop your opponent into. Like I'm already squished into a ball. When I'm playing K-guard, I'm trying to like almost expand like this. So I'm pressing off my left shoulder right now. If Emma leans into me, it doesn't really feel like she can squish me. At this moment, I'm keeping my hand over top of my knee, which is in line with my foot and my point of contact on her, right? I could connect my hands, but you just have to think about like if it's helping you at the moment. So it should feel like if my partner presses me, I can resist it. And I can make this trap. So she presses, and then I can release and drop into balls where I'm like, or into zones where I can off balance her. So things that I'll do is like, I'll expand this way. When they press into me, I'll take them this way. They start to adjust their balance, I'll take them back. I'm moving them into all of these different windows to create opportunities. Right, like that leg drag just kind of found itself based off how she was moving. So when you're playing K-guard, getting in the habit of expanding and contracting and expanding and contracting. It should feel like if your partner presses into you, you can comfortably resist their weight without feeling like you're like frazzled or like you're gonna get smushed, okay? The other thing, you had a moment in one of your matches where you swept with like a footlock entry. So what I was gonna show you on the footlock is if I'm trying to get my partner to 50-50, right? And what's happening is you're winding up here and they're trying to free their knee, right? They're trying to do something like this. And you're trying to pull their leg in. That's really difficult. So I'll give you two things that you could do. The first is I'll unlock my legs and I'll try to pull as I bring my legs to them. So it's like two things are happening at once. I'm bringing my legs to them as I pull them forward. So I can really drop their leg into like the pit of my knee. I don't want to just be relying on one of them. The other thing that I'll do is I'll think about just lifting their leg up to make their lead leg light and their trail leg heavy. And then what this is gonna do is it's gonna make them either press into me, and then I can drop them into a good 50-50, or they don't. In which case I'll try to build up and run them over. The problem that you're running into is you don't really build up that much, so people get to use that direction as just like a free way out. So that's another thing that you could do. If you're trying to get people into 50-50 and you're struggling to keep the knee, first one, see if you can pull their knee in, raise your legs up, and then just pass it over. Second one, try to send their weight to this back leg. If they press into you to try to keep their balance, just drop them into 50-50. If they don't, I'll think about making like a short hook, getting a foot on them, maybe transitioning to X guard and then beginning to build up. Okay. When you swept in that, I think it was your third match, you got on top, which was really nice, but when you got on top, your partner was seated, go ahead, and you were doing this. So you were blocking him from getting close to you, but also blocking yourself from getting close to him. Okay, and then he tried to come up through this, which should have been really difficult because you had your hands on him, but he just like forced himself to his knees, and then when he did that, you pulled him on top of you. That was probably like your biggest tactical error. I want you to get in the habit of not trying to hold this door open, but trying to fall into the cracks. I'm trying to see if I can get my elbow in between Emma's, I'm trying to get my arm in between Emma's elbow and knee. You can see how her head is still in my way. I'm like, can I like shape shift my body into this pocket? I'm like watching myself in that little window. I'm like, okay, I have good posture, I have good base. I'm not like misaligning myself or doing anything weird. Now maybe from here, I'm dropping into a knee cut or a knee over. But instead of getting in the habit of being here and trying not to engage, I want you to get close and see if you can close the distance and work towards passing. Okay, and then the last thing that we needed to work on was the back defense. So let's say Emma starts taking my back and she gets a hook in. What's happening right now is you're bringing both of your arms to your partner's choking arm, okay? And then they can just put the second hook in right away, okay? And this is getting you really far behind in your matches. What I want you to think about doing is putting a layer in between their choking arm and your neck. So if I do this, I'm kind of just hanging down, but it's really just the tips of my fingers that are in between my neck and her arm. So what I like to think about doing is really getting my hand in the way. So she has to work herself through this barrier before she can attack my neck. A lot of the time you're trying to like do stuff like this, or just use one arm, okay? And then with your free arm, this guy is gonna be checking the hook. What you do with your leg also really matters. If I do this, there's like a ton of space for Emma to put her hook in. So what I want you to think about doing is beginning to turn. Think about keeping your elbow and knee kind of like as connected as you can get them so it's difficult for you to get the hook. And then you're gonna play back and forth between checking the hook and checking the choke and seeing if you can use your foot and your shin to walk yourself through these little spaces. Once I get through the space, I want you to get in the habit of just putting the edge of your body on your training partner, okay? And I'm gonna maintain this alignment. If I put my back on the mat, she can come up and squish me. If I turn away from her, she can attack my back. So there's this sweet spot where I have her on the edge of my body where if she tries to press into me, she's kind of in limbo. And then I'll use this to create a wall with good structure, and then I can use that to reset my guard. Another thing that you could do is if they're on your back with one hook and you're not super concerned about the threat of them getting into your neck, I'll use this arm to check the hook. Typically what's making me feel like not concerned is again, can I rotate a little bit? Like, let me move my arm. I've kind of gotten like my shoulder on her, where now she's more on the edge of my body than her being chest to back. If I can get something like this where my shoulder is on her and she's not square on my back, then I'll just try to anchor to this arm so she can't get like a sneaky arm around my neck. And then as I'm turning, I'm thinking about monitoring this hook. Now I'm gonna think about working my back towards the ground, and then as she's following, maybe seeing if I can set a guard. Okay? Sometimes you'll escape to the top depending on what they're doing, but that's like a good place for you to start. And then on that note, when people are on your back, you also have to get in the habit of hiding behind your shoulders and kind of using your shoulders and your neck as a little bit more of like a turtle shell and a shield. It's the same thing that was happening when we were training. Like you'll let your body just be upright. Like if you're training with me and you lift your neck like this is over. I just need to slip one hand under your chin and that's it. So a lot of the time you're doubling up on an arm, but your neck is like this. So if Emma takes out her left arm and then goes under my chin, I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. So we just need to get in the habit of monitoring the choke, monitoring the hook, hiding between our necks, using a hand constantly to be shedding the hook. And then from this position, I'm trying to create off balance. I'm moving myself in base to try to influence Emma's base, and then I'm working myself through the gaps as they become available. So these are all like little drills that you could do to kind of clean up some of those gaps. All right, hope that's helpful. All right, you're good.